Greetings and welcome. My name is Reverend Joey Manuel, and I haven't been online for a while and a video unless I get inspired or a strong message from Spirit. Yesterday, I had the privilege of seeing a video that really touched my heart, and during meditation and during sleep, I got a lot of input on a subject that I want to um, share with the light workers and the rest of the people. Basically, we're all souls, as we know that, and that we're all a collective energy working together to improve on ourselves and to accept ourselves with what is called fault and all, or what we think that we should have been. Um, a lot of times when we're born into a family or a neighborhood or an area, we associate and we learn, we get programmed by society of that nature, of that area. And now with social media, we also feel the pressure. I've noticed that of who we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to be, and we get influenced by by, this is what I find, by how we should be. And this happens to many of us, and that affects our mind. The news, the governments, the religions, all of it, whatever we read, see, and it affects us internally, what we hear, what we expose ourselves to. And this is a time of massive awakening and massive awakening to our higher self. I have written an article about this not so long ago, and but it's coming up again. The awakenings are still occurring, and people are awakening that to realize that they have not been following their own soul because they've been used to, you know. And I always ask them, according to whose standards are you comparing yourself? This is a common question that I get that I ask, and they always tell me whoever is they're trying to, how can I say, accomplish and benefit and is criticizing them or putting them down. It's usually somebody that has something that they want and that they want to do, or are afraid to expose themselves and be out there raw. Now, some of the labels that come up to mind, and that I want to speak to about, because this is one topic that is not really included a lot in the metaphysical community, or I've seen, but it's about the LGBT, gays, lesbians, bi, transgender, and queer, and so on. And there's all these labels that are created, and this is something, again, like a label, like calling ourselves our own inner thought, criticizing ourselves, because this is also a whole new, not different, but it's a whole separate community by itself, which has its own flag. And actually, one of the beauties is that the flag has all the colors of the rainbow, or the chakras, if you want to symbolize it. And basically, you realize that it's not mentioned enough. And I want to bring it incorporated because basically, I feel that there's a great need. And the LGBT community has been hurt a lot of times because of all this labeling that we believe in, whether it's right or wrong. Wherever we learned it, whether we learned it down at church, whether we grew up, in a very critical parent. We all came into this life with a journey, and we all come with whatever label it may be. It may not necessarily be part of the LGBT, but it comes with words that are wounding, and our soul knows better. So when our soul starts to awakening it, and it starts to get uncomfortable with all that it's identified with as a human being, and that's where the ego has been formed by those circumstances around you, and they yet still are being formed by the circumstances around you. And I was inspired because the word fear is used a lot. And yesterday I saw a video of a young man who appealed to my heart, and he spoke about fear, but he did such a beautiful job of it. And we all feel it. We all experience this, but we all experience as well love. If we can feel one emotion, one extreme, the opposite of fear is love. We can experience that too. So basically, what I'm trying to invoke is to exclude, forget for a moment that all labels exist. And don't judge yourself by judging another person. In other words, don't bring them down. If this is what a person, you can be constructive in your decision and your advice. Um, you can be an influence, but ultimately the decision is up to the individual, because the individual has to consult their higher self. You don't have the authority, not even as a messenger myself do I have the authority to give somebody a final. Uh, I can see a lot of things, outcomes are going to happen, and but I can co-see them with you, and basically, my intuition is very strong, and we all have that intuition to realize what our self-talk is all about, and the whole thing to connect with your soul, your iron presence, your higher self, and is to and develop that intuition is together with the love that you have within inside you to start speaking with yourself and shifting those paradigms of feeling that you're not good enough, um, you're not beautiful enough, you're not wonderful enough, and according to this universe, you were created as a masterpiece no matter what you look like, and you want to look at yourself in the mirror and say that to yourself every day. And I want to again address very specifically to the heterosexual community and the LGBT community to stop focusing so much on and asking all these weird questions that or criticizing each other. In other words, judging each other for what labels have been created. We live in a world of labels. And one of the things that we have to do is label everything love. Everything has been created of love because the source only created everything in love. And anything other than that is a shift in consciousness that is making you see the illusion of what is real and what is not real. Nothing indeed is real unless we create it. And when you want to manifest, connected with your soul, and you want to listen to that inner voice. Sometimes you choose what you want to, and you will still hear, that inner voice, or meditate, or even if you don't meditate, you can meditate while working out. Working out is a form of meditation. You're getting your adrenaline going. You're taking your attention away from the chatter of your mind so that you can start loving yourself from the inside out. And for those of you who have work out, we have exercise, have the beautiful body because you love yourself, not because you want to show off and your ego, wants to, wants to again win it. The ego can be tamed, it can be trained, it can be used to sustain this body, and there are tools and elements such as affirmations, meditations, healing tools, crystals, pendants, and so forth. I happen to love crystals. I do crystal layouts. I've shown it before, and so that's one subject that I want to touch about is basically to love everybody, spread love like it was a disease. Even the earth is requesting love, which we call Mother Gaia, to all of its children who have been born or without on a soul level have chosen to be born here. I've had the honor of myself that I wanted to make a connection with Source, and I made a promise to help other people, so they don't go through the same experiences, or to help avoid the experience of a non-loving outcome. Talk about relationships, talk about money situations, talk about moving situations, shifting situations, trusting, not trusting, being hurt. And one of the most overlooked, what do you call it, communities that I understand is the LGBT community. They're overlooked, and most of the content out there is that I see is done for the heterosexual. Which, why don't we just include humanity? I mean, I understand it's included for humanity. We shouldn't have to specify, but in this case, I'm doing so because the most resistance that I've experienced, to be honest with you, normally is from the male, and when I also confront the gay community, but they're waking up really fast now. Because if you look back also in history, they were called the one soul per person, the whole soul person in the Native American, I believe something like that. Where they express both gender. I read and meditated on this many, many, many years ago that the soul can choose what gender they want to be even when they're in the womb. And I haven't read any kind of books or anything, but it comes natural to me. I may not understand it. We may not all understand it right away. We're not asked to. I'm not asking anybody to, but I'm just saying to show love and say, hey, I respect who you are, because if you respect yourself, you want to offer what you have for yourself. To have this respect that every single person experiences all kinds of level of healing, joys, dreams, things that they want to accomplish in this world, on this earth, for themselves, and allow them their own expression. We are each a masterpiece, a unique expression of the source that we are within. And what is that other than love? Which is the opposite of fear, a word that is being used a lot by many psychics and speakers and so forth, that fear is detrimental. Well, basically because fear-filled thoughts create after their kind. Thoughts in mind create after their kind. And what happens is that, your format, your way of thinking is creating, or how you've been taught how to think, which is the most obvious, by society, by whoever. You've been programmed to think in a certain way, and then if you don't start shifting, like, okay, I spoke about that if you don't start shifting, nothing will change. Like I spoke about affirmations. Okay, if you do affirmations and you don't take action to those affirmations, I challenge you. Nothing's going to happen. I want you to challenge yourself. Well, yes, you're going to feed your subconscious, so something does happen, especially if you do it during meditation. But what I wanted you to do with some things is feel the fear and do it anyways, because sometimes a whole bunch of fear is going to come up when you're going to take the plunge. All these thoughts. I want to say, even myself, I've done radio shows, and I did it the first year. I used to hold on to something, not to shake. I used to put all the energy of fear into a crystal or something, and get over it. And now, look at me here. I'm in public, speaking to the whole world. So anyhow, I hope that some of these things get in touch with you. Touch your soul, listen to your soul, learn how to speak to your soul, learn how to. There are many ways to speak to the soul, and it's part of you. You were born with it. You can't get away from it. That's what animates you. That's what connects you. That's what you leave with your soul. And if you have soul memories from other lifetimes, for those who are my reincarnation believers, if you have belief in your enlightenment, you want to reach that enlightenment. If you believe in ascension, you want to believe in those ascended beings that were here several times and they've mastered life. I work a lot with the ascended masters. And today I guess I dressed up in purple. Must be working with Saint Germain. It's my favorite color since I was a kid. I didn't know why. But anyhow, I want you to appreciate each other and every single person, and get together in loving harmony wherever you are across the world. This is the end of November. In the USA here, we're getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving, but there are many holidays where families come together, or loved ones, or spiritual families come together. Spiritual families come together. Those are groups that have created their own families. Because sometimes, unfortunately, there's such karmatic deaths, which we're not going to go into, that the family that we're born into is not the one that goes with us. We come, we learn what we need to learn from them, and then we move on. Most people are here for us for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. You've heard that millions of times. And when you see the changes, don't suffer. Don't suffer long. Just observe the changes and know that something new is coming. You're in the middle of a transformation. Don't freak out when you awaken. When you awaken and when you connect more strands of DNA, which is what we're doing, then you're actually seeing more. Yes, we all say, yes, let's ascend, let's connect with more strands, but then you end up several days, sometimes laying down, assimilating, or going through stress because nothing makes sense anymore. Not in the what we call it day to day 3D world, and kind of like 99% of your conversation you have to like hold it in. Well, guess what? We're growing in numbers. Because if I came out of the spiritual closet like about in 2005 or maybe earlier, then you can too. And don't be afraid, because I heard it from a wise teacher once. Those people that you think they're going to think that you're crazy, they already thought that you were crazy to begin with, and you're going to be finding out that that's the case. So, and they're going to be the most accepting, the most asking, how are you doing all these things, accomplishing all these things that you're doing, um, before, and they get back on their feet. So anyhow, you can choose religion. You can be religious if you want to, and so forth. But just be open-minded to the alternatives of having yourself connect with the source, listen to that connection, whether it comes from around you, from within you, from your crown chakra. We'll explain the chakras, but I would like to mentor you if you need your help. You need the help. My phone number is on my page. Is Reverend Joey Emmanuel Solares, and my website is on there, which is www.templeoftheiam.webs.com. But for more direct questions, don't be afraid to private message me or give me a shout. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions as to what do you need, what kind of workshop do you think that you should start. But I tell you, the more you awaken your intuition so that you can go ahead and help back and feed the world and share yourself without fear, shed the fear. And if you feel it, I have a title which was amazing. It was just energetic. I never even read the book. It was just called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways. And sometimes I go through moments where I feel fear and intimidated and discomfort and stress and so forth, but I use tools. I feel the fear and do it anyways. Because on the other side of fear, there's love. You're not going to get hurt. Nothing can really hurt you. Not unless you allow it to. Because you are made in the perfection of the universe and the universal source. And you are a masterpiece. So why don't we sign that masterpiece and make it timeless and priceless? God bless you and namaste. This is Reverend Joey Emmanuel from Temple of the I Am.